Welcome back to the Revealed Kids Bedtime Stories. We're so glad you're here tonight. Tonight's story will take us into a quiet forest where a mighty oak tree tells the story of America's freedom and why staying rooted in God matters most. Now let's journey back to the forest where the wind rustles through the branches and the leaves whisper truth as a mighty oak tree shares the story of America. It was summertime and the air was warm and sweet. Ethan and Grace raced across the fields near their grandparents' farmhouse. Fireflies had begun to blink in the tall grass, and crickets sang in the hedges. Beyond the pasture, a narrow trail wound into the woods, shaded by towering trees. "Don't go too far," Grandpa called after them with a chuckle. "Stay where the big oak tree can see you." The children laughed as they slowed down. Grace tilted her head. "What does he mean? The oak tree can see us." But soon they saw it for themselves. The oak tree was enormous, its trunk wider than their living room, its bark gnarled and strong with age. Its branches stretched overhead like the vaulted roof of a cathedral, shading the forest floor in a cool green glow. Birds sang from its branches. Squirrels darted up and down, chattering as they leapt from limb to limb. Its roots twisted deep into the earth like ancient arms gripping the soil, strong and steady. The children sat beneath it to rest. A breeze stirred the leaves, and for a moment the sound was like a whisper. Grace's eyes widened. "Ethan, did you hear that? I think the tree is talking." Ethan laughed nervously, but then he froze as a deep, gentle voice rumbled from the trunk itself. "Children," the oak said, "I have stood here longer than you can imagine. I have seen your nation grow. I have a story to tell." The children leaned back against the bark, eyes wide with wonder. "I was just a sapling when the first farmers prayed in these fields," the oak said. "They knelt on the soil and asked God to bless their crops, their families, and this land. Their prayers watered my roots, and I grew as their faith grew." The leaves shivered as the oak continued. "I was growing tall when the Liberty Bell rang in Philadelphia. Its voice carried the message of freedom across the land. 'Proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof.' I did not see the bell, but I felt the ground tremble with the excitement of a people who longed to be free." The children listened, mouths open. "I have felt the rumble of soldiers marching past," the oak said gravely. "Men with heavy boots and determined eyes, marching to defend liberty. I heard the cracks of muskets in the distance, and I saw families gather under my branches to pray for their loved ones at war. And I stood through storms, wind, rain, and lightning, just as America stood through trials." Grace whispered, "You've seen everything." The oak's branches rustled. "Yes, but I must tell you this. A tree without deep roots cannot stand, and a nation without roots in God cannot last. America's roots are in prayer, in faith, and God's Word. When your nation trusts Him, she grows tall and strong. But if she forgets Him, her roots weaken." The children grew very quiet. Ethan finally asked, "Will you ever fall?" The oak groaned softly as though thinking, "Only if I forget my roots, and only if America forgets hers. But you, children, you can keep watering the roots. Pray for your nation. Learn truth. Stand up for what is right." Just then, the sky darkened. A storm cloud rolled overhead. The forest grew dim, and the wind roared through the branches. The oak groaned as the storm winds tore at its leaves. Rain began to fall in heavy drops. Grace clung to the bark. Ethan, hold on. It's so strong. The oak's voice boomed like thunder. Do not be afraid. My roots are deep. Its branches swayed wildly, but its trunk did not move. The children watched in awe as the great tree stood tall against the storm. After what felt like forever, the clouds passed. Golden sunlight broke through, washing the forest in warm light. Birds returned to sing, and the rain-soaked leaves sparkled like jewels. You didn't fall, Grace said with relief. The oak's voice rumbled with quiet strength. Because my roots are deep. Children, remember this. America must keep her roots deep in God's truth as well. Storms will come, wars, troubles, and trials. But if her roots stay in Him, she will stand. The children nodded solemnly. Ethan placed his hand on the bark. We'll remember. We'll keep praying. The oak's branches rustled happily, as if smiling. Good. Never forget, freedom is a gift from God, and it must be protected. That night, back at their grandparents' farmhouse, Ethan knelt beside his bed. He folded his hands and prayed, Lord, help me grow strong like the oak. And please, help America's roots stay in you. Grace whispered her own prayer. Jesus, help our country never forget you. Keep us strong, even when storms come. The oak tree reminds us that America's freedom is strong only when its roots are in God. Just as storms cannot topple a tree with deep roots, so too can our nation stand firm if it stays grounded in God's truth. Jesus, help me grow strong in you, like an oak tree planted by the waters, and help America stay rooted in your word, so our freedom will never fall. And now, little one, as you sleep, remember, you are a part of God's story. You are a part of a nation meant to stand tall in truth and liberty.